What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour. I am your host, the big man on canvas, Jeff Nadu. Hope you're having a great day wherever you are. It is Friday, May 21st, 2021. We are powered by PicksWise and presented by FanDuel. Hope you're having an enjoyable morning so far. We are here breaking down, as we always do, the NBA card, no matter how many games there are. Tomorrow, the playoffs get going. We will break them down here on the show at noon. But today, we got one more playing game to talk about. A big one in the Western Conference. Memphis, Golden State, for all the marbles to get into that 8 spot. We bring in our regular Friday guest. It's the great Babano, Ian Cameron. Ian, what's happening? How are you?
Doing good, Jeff. The eve of the NBA playoffs. One more play-in game to go, and then they're here. And we've got some exciting playoffs ahead, simply because, look, we got some different, fresh meat, fresh blood, I guess you could say, in this year's playoffs. When you look at some of the teams involved, the Atlanta Hawks back in the playoffs, the New York Knicks back in the playoffs. They're playing each other. The Phoenix Suns, an amazing season, back in the playoffs and relevant again. So nice to see some teams that have had some rough times and some lean years back in the postseason.
Yeah, that's a great point. Nice to, as you said, see a team like Phoenix, see a team like the Knicks. Wizards have made it. So, yeah, it's exciting. And what we'll do, like we did yesterday, we'll break down the game in depth, side, total, props. We'll take a look at tomorrow's action, couple of numbers up now. We'll get your thoughts on some of the matchups that we haven't talked about. But before we do that, I want to first welcome all of you in. When you're listening live or later or after the fact, thanks for checking us out. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit the subscribe button here at PicksWise. Make sure you hit the like button as well. We will do this show all the way through the NBA Finals. So we're here every day. Make sure you join us at noon Eastern. Let's recap what we saw last night, Ian, in the NBA. There was only one game and another blowout game. We've had 6 games. 4 have been blowouts, or 7 games, whatever it's been. There's been a lot of blowouts. Wednesday night, there were 2 pretty good games, but yesterday's game was pretty much over from the start, really outside of the first quarter. Wizards played, and both teams played pretty well in the first quarter, but a big second quarter from the Wizards. They go up 13 at the half, have a huge third quarter, scoring 48 points, which is dreadful. That is absolutely pathetic for an NBA team to give up 48 points in 12 minutes. That is laughable. Just disgusting. Pacers should be ashamed of themselves. After the third quarter, this one was over. 142 for the Wizards. They continue to look very good as they head into the playoffs to get a first-round matchup with the Philadelphia 76ers. And look, Russell Westbrook, 18, 8, and 15. Not one of those huge games from him. Bradley Beal was good, but he didn't score 40. It was an all-around effort. Neto had 14. Hachimura had 18. Gafford had 15. Gill had 10. Just a wide range of scores. And the Pacers just didn't really get much outside of Sabonis and Brogdon, and they ran out of gas.
Yeah, and they just weren't the good defensive team in the second half of the season. Ever since Miles Turner got hurt, you saw this team just really crumble at the defensive end of the floor. And I kind of thought it was fool's gold with Indiana beating Charlotte. I know there was one person I talked to who said maybe the Pacers can use that win against Charlotte as momentum. And I said, no, that's a one-and-done situation for me with them. They beat Charlotte. Charlotte was terrible going into that play-in game. They had lost 6 straight games going into that play-in game against the Pacers. So I was not really buying that and some sort of buy sign on the Pacers that they beat up on the lowly Charlotte Hornets in that first game. And sure enough, Washington took them essentially to the cleaners last night, did whatever they wanted offensively. The lack of rim protection, especially without Turner, the last weeks or month of the season was just pathetic, really, from the Pacers. I mean, you could just score and get to the rim at will against this team. And look, from an entertainment perspective, that game gave you nothing because it was one-sided the whole way. But from a betting standpoint, I was sure happy with it. A nice 2-0 sweep on that game, Washington in the over. Both of them getting there. I had pretty confident the Wizards could get it done. And now their reward, your Philadelphia 76ers, Jeff, in the first round. And interesting to see, that series, we'll get into it. With a backcourt like that, you're always going to give yourself a fighting chance, but it's hard to ignore the defensive disparity, and it's a wide one between those two teams going into that first round matchup.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a little bit. I have a few other points as well to make on it. We'll answer a question that's been posed in the chat. Great call on 2-0. We ourselves did go, at least on the side in total, go 2-0. Spread a stare, gave out Washington. We both like the over. I was a little confused. I was driving around last night and I saw Sabonis, and I confused myself. I thought I hit the prop, but I didn't. That's 2 straight nights Sabonis screwed me on props. In games that he should have played well in and had huge games. He did. But all in all, they just kind of ran out of gas. And you're right. It's really interesting going forward to see the last 2 seasons, Indiana has had no luck with injuries. I mean, every year it's somebody's out. They had it last year when they faced the Miami Heat, got swept. That was Nate McMillan's end. This year, you're without Turner. Look, without Turner, they probably have a way better end of the season, and probably or maybe the 6 or 7 seed or whatever. So, yeah, it was a rough season. It's been a couple of rough seasons for Indiana. They just have had no luck. You have a new regime this year with a coach. Had some off the court issues with that coach. So, yeah, it just continues to be kind of a rough couple of seasons for Indiana. Sam Calmer says this is the best first round matchups in quite some time. Agreed. Let's get into it. I'll answer that DFL question here about the Wizards. We'll get into that after this matchup. But let's jump in to tonight's action. We've got one game for all the marbles in the Western Conference. The Golden State Warriors host the Memphis Grizzlies. The winner is the 8 seed. The loser is golfing on Monday or Sunday or whatever. And John Morant, it'd be another quick exit. Golden State laying 4.5. It's shaded to 114. I'd have to envision maybe this one even hits 5 at some point. Total 221.5. Yesterday on the show, we quickly looked at this line. It was 3.5. I kind of mentioned a spread of stare. I have a hard time betting against Golden State. And again, it's moved up a point, which could be big. I mean, getting 3.5 or 4.5 is a different number when you're laying points. So, keep that in mind. When you just kind of center ourselves here first on the visiting team and the Grizzlies, got to be pretty happy what they did the other night. They've been tested. They've had trouble kind of closing games out and covering numbers towards the end of the season. And, they had a tough game the other night. I mean, Spurs didn't give up. Spurs went down early. Grizzlies were able to kind of handle the close game, and they were able to get it done. It wasn't easy. They missed free throws, which, look, if you had Memphis at 4.5, the free throws were the problem. They missed a couple late in the game, one of which being John Morant. I think he finished 2 for 5 from the free throw line. I missed a couple of them. They've been strong defensively all year, but you look at recently, have kind of slipped a little bit. They're like 15th, I think, in defense at this point. Real concern defensively all year has been the fact that they just can't really get a lot of consistency at the three-point line defensively. They allow a lot. The frequency is high for their opponent, and they just don't get many stops from the three-point line. And that is a major concern tonight because you have the arguable best shooter in the history of the league in Stephen Curry. You cannot leave Stephen Curry open. You cannot leave him for more than a second because that's all he needs. We've seen teams throw the proverbial kitchen sink at Stephen Curry, and it hasn't mattered. You look at on the other night, 5 days ago, Stephen Curry had 46 points against the same team. He was 9 for 22 from 3. So, he wasn't awesome. He didn't shoot 50%. It was like 43-ish. But he shot 22 times. You look at tonight, with Memphis. Can Dillon Brooks handle Stephen Curry? I don't think he can. You just got to keep riding Curry. He's what they have. I will say Wiggins has played well. Draymond's played well. They've actually been pretty damn good with this current rotation. This current rotation defends. They're pretty efficient. And I think they're the better team. I know Memphis has some advantage. I do like the fact that they can rebound well. Golden State's a smaller team. I got to be honest, Ian. I have a real tough time with this game. I do like the Warriors. I lean that side here. Total, I think, has been plummeted. I would have liked the under. I feel like if it gets a little bit lower, maybe you have to look over. The one concern, if you like the under here, Ian, tell me one thing about these tempos. Both.
Yeah, you're going to get tempo on both sides is what you're going to get. No question about that.
Yeah, they're both fast, and that's concerning here.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a playoff game. It's an 8th seed. It's for all the marbles. Every possession is going to matter. You have to figure it's going to be a close game. There are things to like about both sides, but at the end of the day, I just don't think Memphis can stop Stephen Curry. It's just that simple. You look at his points total tonight, Ian, 38.5. If you'd have backed that the other night against the Lakers, he only scored 37. So they're shading this one up. It's hard to make money on Steph Curry. His 3-point field goals, it's at 6.5. They've moved it up from 5.5. Here's what I'm going to do.
If you want to take the cruise on the ship, the value ship is not going through Steph Curry Island right now in terms of his player props. No, you're not getting value right now.
No, it isn't. And what's so smart about the books is they've realized that at 5.5, they've gotten pummeled with these props. I mean, they lose. They could throw 190 out there. People are betting it. The move to 6.5 did pay some dividends. I know against Utah and Phoenix, he had a bad couple shooting nights. Here's the problem, though. This is not Utah or Phoenix, okay? This is a bad three-point defense. A three-point defense that I don't think can stop Steph Curry. One other point, Ian, then we'll let you speak. Dylan Brooks is a concern in this game, and I'll tell you why. 5th in the NBA in personal fouls per game. He's handy, man. He gets in foul trouble. What's one thing we know about the stars in this league? At home, in an 8th game playoff game, they're going to get calls. I think I saw that somewhere. I forget where it was. That's a really good point. And in 23 games since April 1st, Stephen Curry has hit 6 or more threes in 13 of those 23 games. I'm playing that over 6.5 threes. That's plus money. I think he's going to have a gigantic night. I think if there's any value, it's on that.
All right. So what did you say his prop was the other night against the Lakers, Curry? Player point prop, 37?
36.5, which I hit at 30. And it hit 37, so it worked.
Okay. And tonight it's what?
But it's a do or die game, as you know.
But it's a better matchup for Curry. It's a much better matchup.
You know what? I'm going with that as well. Yeah. Over 38.5. He's hitting 40 tonight. It's all by Steph.
I'm not saying it's great value as player prop tonight points, but I'm saying that for just a couple of points higher, when he's got a much greater edge over the opposing team defense in this game compared to the Laker game, then it might still be worth it, maybe to look in that direction. Even though you're paying 38 and you're going to need 39 points from him in order to cash out. He's still very capable. We know Memphis's perimeter D is leaky. And look, I don't trust Memphis to win a clutch game. I don't, because they didn't do it against Portland last year in the bubble. Remember, they were in the same damn situation, a chance to win the play-in game, get into the playoffs, and they didn't get the job done. And we've seen them have some bad finishes to games. They've had blown leads to the Knicks, to the Mavericks. I've seen all kinds of instances this year where Memphis, statement games, national TV spotlight games, having leads in the fourth quarter, and they can't bring those games home to the finish line. And I don't trust them here, flat out. Now, you could argue that you got to pay a premium a little bit with Golden State. They're up to 4.5 now. But I have a very hard time believing that Steph Curry, Draymond Green, a head coach like Steve Kerr, that they're this close to overcoming the Klay Thompson injury again, missing him all season once again, and all the other ups and downs they've had throughout the course of the season. Curry had some injuries earlier on. Draymond wasn't healthy earlier on in the season, but they've survived it. They've managed to cobble their way into the play-in tournament, and they played some of their best basketball. You could say carried by Steph down the stretch, but nevertheless, Golden State did play their best basketball the last month and a half of the season, and now they're this close to finally getting into the playoffs after all the adversity they've overcome. And now that you're going to tell me that on their home court, they're going to blow it to this Memphis team that has done absolutely nothing in a big spot over the last couple of seasons? No, for me, it's Golden State or nothing.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, I'm not taking Memphis here. I think there's some edges they have, particularly with just the fact that Golden State's just small. I think Valanciunas has been very good recently, by the way. I think if
That's
you're
the player
looking,
prop I like. So
yes,
even though I don't like Memphis in the game, I like JV over points. You got it the other night. They actually gave up a lot to him last weekend. These teams played down the
yeah,
stretch of
at
the
that
regular
half, I
season,
think.
and he gave up. And he was the catalyst offensively for the Grizzlies. So I like Jonas Valanciunas over points tonight.
Yeah, I'm even looking points and rebounds. I mean, he's giving you 14 and a half boards a game. I mean, this guy's been one of the best rebounders in the league, really, outside of Clint Capella. This is a small front for the Warriors.
Yeah, exactly. A very light front court. He can
Really outside
feast
of
in terms of
Kevon
points
Looney.
around the rim. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
really outside of Kevon Looney. I mean, Valanciunas the other night had his point rebound prop, I believe, by the half. I mean, he destroyed the Spurs the other night. 23 points, 23 rebounds. As you said, against the Warriors the other night in 35 minutes, he had 29 points, 16 boards. He didn't play against the Kings. May 13th against the Kings, 24 points, 13 boards. Didn't play against the Mavericks. May 10th, he had 20 and 11 against the Pels, and then against the Raptors, 18 points, 21 boards on May 8th. I mean, this guy has really had a terrific May. I mean, he's been on fire. I think if I'm looking at a prop on the other side, and if there's anything I like for Memphis, it's a Valanciunas prop. He's had a really solid season for the Grizzlies. Great work by him. By the way, to strengthen your Golden State argument, 7-0 over the last 7 against the number. Been very good. Been very profitable. You can go and buy a nice new car with some proceeds if you're eating camera, because I know he bets a lot of fazools, as they say. I agree with you. I think I don't want to go much higher than this from a spread perspective. But how many points are Memphis going to leave at the free throw line? Seems like that's a norm with this group. And I got to look up their free throw percentage. But we know how automatic Golden State seems to be at times. Memphis is, by the way, 20th in the NBA in free throw percentage. Just not very good. I mean, they've left points at the line the other night. They were able to get the win. I don't think they're going to be able to do that tonight. So, plus, Golden State a better defensive team. They've been very good over that end. Draymond Green, shout out to him, continues to do the little things for this group. I agree with you on the side. Total's tough. I think the value's gone on the under. And as far as props are concerned, I'm going to stick with Curry. Curry's won me a lot. And look, that's the thing with Curry. If it loses, it loses, because I've done so well with not only him, but his brother. I mean, this family is, and John Means, the 3 people that made me the most money over the last month: John Means for the Orioles, Seth and Steph Curry. Shout out to Steph's mom as well, and Dell for that matter.
And Dell, yeah.
Dell
And Sonia Curry, exactly, yeah.
Yes, Dell taught them all they know. Shout out to Dell. Dexter Ross says take the under. Yeah, but again, I'm not in the business of betting on the worst number, Dexter. I mean, 25 and a half, 225 and a half, yeah, but I lost 4 points. And that 4 points can matter. Every point matters in the playoffs. And with the pace of these two teams, it really matters. I'm out. I'm not interested in betting that number. Ian,
I remember a toddler, Steph Curry, walking around the Air Canada Center basketball floor when Dell was playing for the Toronto Raptors back in the day. So just a little wee kid, Steph Curry, getting his thoughts for the first time and being a basketball player.
One of the most iconic pictures I have. In fact, I'm a big, now that I'm older, Ian, my mom told me like a year or two ago, it's probably the first time she came to my apartment, which, by the way, a lot of people think I live with my parents. This will be a good knock for those guys. So my mom came over. I'm not a woman, obviously. I needed a little decorating thought. She was in the area. She came by. And my mom told me this, Ian. She said, every room you have should have a theme, right? You're a man. Have them manly themes. You like football. Make one room football. The other room, my bedroom is my gangster room. I have gangster portraits everywhere. I like gangsters. I like the mob. I have that history podcast. So one room that I want to make as well in the office that I have here is basketball. And one of the portraits I want to get is, there's an iconic photo of the late great, to me, the best shooter in the history of the NBA, Drazen Petrovic, right? And he's shooting threes at the 3-point contest. I believe it was 2000. And on the bench, in eyesight, as he's shooting and he's looking right at him, is a young Steph Curry looking at Drazen. It's iconic. And it really just seems like he watched Dell, his father. He watched Drazen. He watched Ray Allen. He watched all these guys. And he really just took the torch. I mean, it's incredible. Just awesome. And you mentioned,
I don't even think it's arguably the best three-point shooter. I think he is. I really do. Yep.
At this point, I mean, you have some great ones. Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, Drazen. I mean, Drazen died early, too. I think he could have been truly great. Dale Davis. I mean, it's some really great shooters. But, for me, look, Steph is fascinating and incredible. I'll take the 6. I'll lay the 6.5. I think he has a huge game. I think you made a really good point about Curry with just a better defensive matchup here. And you look at how did the Memphis Grizzlies guard the Golden State Warriors, because it's really pick your poison. Do you want to play in the half court and get Steph to bury you from 3? Do you really want to run? There's a lot of ways I think Steph Curry scores in this game. And I really like your Warriors play as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Golden State will advance, and of course they'll get to play the Utah Jazz, who they had that crazy point spread tear about January, February, and they've basically cooled down. Of course, they've had Conley and Mitchell out. That hasn't helped them one bit. We'll have to see if they have their backcourt back, but they'd better have it back for a potential matchup if it is indeed Golden State, because Golden State has that championship medal. Golden State has that championship pedigree. We know Golden State's been able to win big playoff games, big playoff series. Do we know that about the Utah Jazz as of right now? No, we don't.
Exactly. We don't know what's going to happen there. Anthony Crivello saying totals at 221.5, so bet the over. Listen, man, here's what I'll tell you, and Ian will agree. When you get into playing games, particularly even playoff games as well, stand-in games, stand-alone games, all due respect, bro, you can't be waiting till 12:30 on the day of to be betting these totals. If you like the under, you lost value, man. You just got to chalk it up. Do I say I'm going to bet the over here? No, I don't really like it, honestly. How do you feel about over 108 in the first half? I don't know. This guy
I would prefer the first half. Oh, if you like the over, and I'm neutral on the total, I won't bet in the total. But if you like the over, I prefer the first half over than the full game over. And look, we saw it with Memphis against San Antonio. That game actually had a pretty brisk start in terms of points, and then it just came right down, dropped right to a crawl in the second half of that game. So I could see that here a little bit in this one. I'd prefer first half to full game if I'm interested in an over.
Yeah, and I hate to be wishy-washy, but I'll say this, Anthony. If you are thinking over, wait on. This is where you want to wait on it, because I think it could come down a little bit more. I don't know if it's not going to go up. Maybe people have some buyback and they come back on it. I don't know, but yeah, I hate to be wishy-washy on the total, but these totals are tough. Here's the thing about playing games. They either go way over or way under. None of them have really been close. So, the totals that have gone under, one team has barely got to 100. And then the totals that you expect to go over go way over, into the 160 or 260. So, yeah, I'm sorry on that one, brother. Okay, Ian, let's kind of switch some gears. Let's talk about what we think we'll see here. Obviously, I think you're just kind of talking about quickly, we expect Utah to play Golden State here, but we really don't know. Obviously, we'll figure that out after tonight. But, Utah's interesting because, as you said, had a lot of success. They were blowing teams out when they were fully healthy. But, now you've had Conley and Mitchell off for a long period of time. They've had to fight a little bit. And how healthy are those guys going to be coming back? You'd have to figure. We'll see them. When they come back, we don't know. And I think, anytime you have Steph Curry, if we have Steph Curry on the other side. Look, if Utah faces the Grizzlies, they'll beat the Grizzlies. But anytime Steph Curry's there, especially with the question of we don't know when do we have any idea when these guys are coming back?
That's the question. Mitchell is hopeful. That's what the last report I saw with him was, hopeful. We're going to have to see. Remember, these guys tip off. Utah and whoever they play, Golden State and Memphis, is Sunday night. So it's the very last first-round series to get going. So that's at least going to give Mitchell and Conley all the time they possibly could potentially need to get back in the lineup. But Mitchell is definitely trending toward probable, but I wouldn't set it in stone just yet. It's a little bit more dicey when it comes to Mike Conley.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I've talked about it. Royce O'Neal, net negative on offense. Rudy Gobert, great defender. I don't trust him offensively. They need those guys because you can't expect Clarkson and those guys. Plus, look, you look at the regular season, Ian. Golden State beat Utah 2 out of 3 with those guys. So don't just sleep on, Golden State. I'm going to be interested in that price. If I can get a solid price, I'm going to look towards Golden State possibly if they make it in here. Josh Singerayer saying, I can parlay Nets and Clippers to win their series for minus 300 thoughts. Listen, if you can parlay series, I'm going to tell you what you should parlay. And I'm going to give it to you right now. The Portland Trailblazers are going to beat the Denver Nuggets. It's that simple.
Conley's good. Conley's good for Sunday. Mitchell is still, question. Mitchell's actually the stronger questionable one. I got them reversed. Mitchell is the more dicey player for game one in terms of his status. Conley should play. Conley will play, I think.
I need them both. But yeah, as far as Portland, look, Jokic might score 35 every game. Portland might score 25 every game. 60 points ain't enough to beat Portland, cuz I'm going to tell you that. Portland's offense is legit. Norman Powell is nasty. You love Lillard. He's a warrior. You love McCollum. He's a warrior. Nurkic, great offensive big. Carmelo, Anthony Simmons. I mean, they got all sorts of killers on that team. They're going to beat Denver. Mark it down. They're playing for Terry Stotts. And I'll tell you the other one you throw in there if you can do this. And I'm going to go against Ian Cameron here. The Atlanta Hawks are going to beat the New York Knicks. I don't really see what the value here is. I don't know why people want to bet the Knicks. I don't see it. They're not as good offensively. They're not even close. Thibodeau sucks in the playoffs. Defense only gets you so far. You got to have to score eventually. I think they can handle Julius Randle. I think the Hawks are really interesting. It's a really good basketball team. They've made some shrewd moves. I like the again, I'm not saying I can't parlay. But if you can, Portland, Hawks. I like it.
Yeah, I mean the problem though is with the injury situation for Atlanta. That's the problem. There's still a bunch of guys questionable game time decisions for Werder, for Dunn, for Bogdanovic is enormous. Like if he doesn't play game one and Capella doesn't play game one and they're both questionable, I mean that's a problem. That's one of your better perimeter shooters in Bogdanovic, offensive weapons, and of course Capella down low. You got some size to deal with in this series, namely Julius.
Let me ask you though, fully healthy, the Hawks are a better team.
Potentially they are.
Really?
I still like the better defensive team a lot of the time, and we know who that is between these two teams, and that's definitely the New York Knicks. I hear you on Thibodeau. Thibodeau in the playoffs, we know. He's had some flameouts. We get it. I understand that fully. But you look at that duo of Barrett and Randall and the way they played and the way this team defends. The question is, as good as they are, sometimes they put too much on the shoulders of Barrett and on Randall. It's going to be up to the supporting cast. Can Bullock play well? Can Nerlens Noel be good in that center spot? Are they going to get good production from Derrick Rose and Emmanuel Quickly? And guys like that. They've got to also be a supporting cast, impact players. Because I will say there is a supporting cast edge for Atlanta, especially when Atlanta's fully healthy here. And we'll see what happens here in terms of Nate McMillan. But it's not like Nate McMillan's chock full of playoff success either for the Atlanta Hawks in this past.
That's true. That's true.
We'll have to wait and see. Yep. Right? That's why he's been fired a bunch of times.
I want to go to a comment way up at the top. It was asked right out of the gate. Jeff, as a fellow Sixer fan, are you nervous about the Wizards at all? At Pickswise. Am I nervous? A little. But here's why I'm not nervous. The Sixers are an elite
team defends, the other doesn't. That's the reason not to be nervous, in my opinion, if you're Sixer fan.
And that's one of the main ones. In fact, the Wizards are the worst defense team in the league, in my opinion. Indiana was pretty bad, though, too. It wouldn't surprise me if the Sixers had some games where they push 130 plus. Let me ask you a question, Ian. And I'm going to get graphic here. Who the hell guards Joel Embiid in this game? And in these games? Daniel Gafford? Give me a break. What?
Well, remember Thomas Bryant, season-ending injury for the Washington Wizards, and he's probably the one guy that's semi-capable of handling a big guy in the low post, the ability and the overall talent of a Joel Embiid.
And you know what Joel Embiid would do? Just like he did Jared Allen a couple years ago when he was on the Nets, beat him up. It's that simple. Listen, Joel Embiid, if you actually ask me,
he's growing up and he's maturing, big man, is what's happening. Like everybody's mocking him for bad playoffs in years past and tears, crying, breaking down in tears after the Raptors knocked him out and all that, and all the knocked out with the flu, having a little runny nose. That was the running gag with Embiid. Always got a little sniffle for a runny nose. He can't play tonight. But you know what? I think he's maturing mentally, emotionally, physically. He's taken on more of a leadership. This is my team now. And he's played with a lot more heart, a lot more guts, and he's playing through pain a lot better than he used to. So let's give him some credit for as much as we ridiculed him for maybe not playing through pain and not playing through injuries, playing through an illness or two. He's doing a better job. And look, he's had a terrific season. No denying that.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're just on another level. They probably sweep the Wizards. Wizards may get a game, maybe, but it's Sixers role, and they're going to have a really high-level setup. And if you're a real Sixer fan, you know what I'm about to do. I think this is Joel Embiid's this moment. If you remember Allen Iverson carrying the Sixers, running down the court doing that year when he took them to the finals, that was, again, and this team is not that team, okay? They had one guy and a bunch of guys. This team has 3 or 4 real good guys. And, listen, I'm going to be the first to say it. Over the years, I mean, the Sixers are a love of mine. I fell in love with them when I was a young boy. And, they've never won for me, ever. And I had a lot of reservations. Could they actually do it? Could Ben and Joel play together? Could I get something out of Danny Green? Could I get something out of Seth Curry? Could Tobias play well a year? Could Thibault defend and be that staunch defender? They've done that and more. So I'm very happy. I'm going to do what I can to be in the building on Sunday. I'm looking at tickets here after the show. And we'll see what we can't do. I'd like to be there. It's a reserve. Obviously, it's not as many people because of the coronavirus, but I'm going to see if I can be there on a Sunday. 1 o'clock should be a fun atmosphere down in South Philly.
It's kind of a proving ground. Like, I definitely have him ranked as a good coach, maybe even a really good coach, and he's certainly been a huge upgrade from Brett Brown. There's no question. But this is kind of a referendum and a deliberation here on Doc Rivers a little bit, because there is that crowd out there that still says he's living off the backs of 3 Hall of Famers for the championship that he got many years ago with the Boston Celtics. Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett way back in the day with the Celtics. And that in other situations with talent that's maybe not quite on that level but close to it, a la the Clippers, last year, he didn't get it done. So we'll see. I mean, I still look, Doc is clearly, like, you still can't compare Doc Rivers to Brett Brown. It's insane to do that. I mean, it's still been a huge upgrade. But now taking that final step, winning another championship, Doc Rivers, there's still a little, can he do it again? There's still a proving ground for him there. So we'll see.
I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to say this very clear. If the Sixers do not get to the Eastern Conference Finals, you're going to see a side of me that you haven't seen ever. And I've had some real memorable rants.
Massive disappointment if that happens.
Look, again, you have to beat the Wizards or the Knicks or the Hawks. You avoid Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Miami. You avoid all of them until the Eastern Conference Finals. If you can't get to the Eastern Conference Finals, again, you are going to see a side of me on camera that you haven't seen.
He's already got the thoughts rolling around in his head as he was saying that, of them not making it to the conference finals. You can tell just the thought of them, losing in the first or second round as he said that. You can tell the anger was wrapping up.
Could you imagine losing to the Hawks or God forbid, the Knicks? Holy shit, that would be bad. All right. Let's do one more, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Let me get your thoughts on this, and I'll ask you. Out of both conferences, we obviously don't know some of the prices yet. Do you see any, upsets? I mean, I guess for me, for some thought I had on maybe Miami. I feel like if there's anyone playing, is there anyone playing better basketball really since the last month? Miami's been terrific. I mean, really a lot to be excited about, but Milwaukee looks really good with Drew Holiday there.
And that to me is this is a fascinating series because Miami's clearly matched up well with Milwaukee the last couple seasons. They have regular season, playoffs. Obviously, we know they swept them and just whipped the Bucks in the playoff bubble last year. And definitely the Heat are playing their best basketball at the right time of season right now. There's absolutely no denying that. I would only look Heat at that plus price. You're seeing them in the plus 250 range, the series price right now against Milwaukee. I want no part of that price with Milwaukee. However, with everybody just chomping at the bit here at Miami, especially in game one on Saturday, we're seeing now it's 4.5 on Milwaukee. They opened 6 in this game. So everybody's, pouring in on Miami here. I think game one might be a Milwaukee spot. I don't know if I necessarily love them in the series because I think it's going to be a tight series, and we know Miami. Look, Miami's been able to shoot the three against Milwaukee because Milwaukee's perimeter defense has always been shaky. And on the flip side, Miami's always had a decent enough wall-like interior defense. A build-a-wall mentality, so to speak, from the Miami Heat, kind of like the Raptors did when they beat the Bucks in the conference finals. And that had success in slowing down the Greek Freak last year in the playoffs and in the regular season meetings. And Eric Spoelstra is going to go back to that same defensive scheme and setup here to try to keep things in check with the Greek Freak. And it proved to work last year. So this is a dangerous series for Milwaukee. I mean, they couldn't have asked for this. One team that probably did not want to see in the first round, and now here they are having to deal with the Miami Heat. I think it's a back-and-forth series. I wouldn't mind taking the plus-price shot. I think Milwaukee's going to get them this time. I just do. I like Miami was great down the stretch. You can't deny it. They were. But I think the difference for Milwaukee this year, they got nothing from the point guard position last year. Eric Bledsoe was a disaster. He was terrible. It's a huge upgrade with Drew Holiday now at that spot compared to Eric Bledsoe. I think that will tip the scales just ever so slightly in Milwaukee's favor. I think they pull it out in 7. I think it goes the distance. You can find a series prop, the series to go 7 games regardless of who wins. You can do that in some books. I would take a 7-game series here in this one. But I do kind of like Milwaukee in game one. Look, they got embarrassed by Miami in the playoffs last year. They were 8-2 straight up down the stretch. So it's not like Milwaukee was chopped liver. They played good ball down the stretch. And now you're getting the deflated number now compared to where it opened. Only minus 4.5 now in the Bucks. I think it's a kind of a proving ground statement game one to show this is going to be different this time around. So I would lean to the Bucks laying the points in game one.
Very good. Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating playoffs. Looking forward to it. We'll get into all of the games tomorrow here on the Hoops Betting Hour. We'll be at noon Eastern. Obviously, summer coming up. You'll have the NBA ending around July. Then you have a little open month. And then college football getting started, which is exciting. The NFL. It's going to be such a great year because this year finally seems like we're going to have a little bit of normalcy according to certain governors. I think I saw Michigan yesterday is going to have open, kind of you can have as many people as you need. So it looks like, we're going to have some football stadiums filled up this year, which is great. Really weird story as we end the show. I don't really want to end it on a bad note, but what a wild story this is. Speaking of college football, did you hear about this Central Michigan quarterback? Did you hear about that?
No, fill me in. No.
Listen to this. So Central Michigan quarterback John Keller and another student, Tyler Bunting, on April 24th were shot at a party after a fight broke out in Mount Pleasant. Keller's been on a ventilator and in the ICU after the shooting and was removed off the ventilator May 1st. Kelly's father, Ray, tweeted out Friday that his son is being released and that the trauma team saved his life. He was shot in the chest. outside of an apartment complex in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. What a horrible story, man. Hopefully this guy gets back in good health. I hope to God, I don't know if he'll ever play football again. What a terrible situation for this guy. I mean, just going to a party on campus, sadly today, these young men and women want to run to the weapons and shoot people. Really a sad story. Hopefully this kid is okay. I guess the guy that did it was upset and went out and grabbed a gun and came back in. Really sad story. Hopefully he's okay. What a terrible story.
Yeah, but the screaming and yelling, especially in the United States, not that there's not gun violence in Canada or other parts, but the screaming and yelling for decades about we got to curb gun violence, we got to stop gun violence, and I'll be hearing about it in 30, 40 years, the same crap. We got to stop gun violence and stop gun violence. And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the solution is. I've been hearing talking about solutions for 30, 40 years in my lifetime now, and I still haven't seen anything done. So that's where I stand. Like, what's going to be done at this point?
Yeah, well, shout out to John Keller. Hopefully he's okay, and it looks like he is. We'll see if he gets back to CMU under Jim McElwain here coming up. Sad story for sure. All right, Ian, let's wrap this thing up. It's baseball, it's basketball over the weekend here. As I said, we'll be back tomorrow, 12 noon. We'll break all the playoff games down. Julian Cesario, I got to talk about this one, says, keep losing weight. You'd be looking like Mark Wahlberg. Settle down, all right? I'm not ever going to look like Mark Wahlberg.
That's a lofty goal to reach.
Yeah, I ain't ever going to – listen, I'm not really losing much weight anymore. Like, I'm kind of at my end, I think. I might lose 5 pounds or so, but I'm a stocky guy. This is probably where
Mark Wahlberg's here. Mark Wahlberg's here, like in the middle. Perfect, physique and all that. Jeff was way up here before, and I'm way down here. So we both I got to go up, and he's got to go down to get to Mark Wahlberg. We both got to go a mile to get there.
I ain't getting a Mark Wahlberg. That's like a wild ascent. That's not going to happen. All right. Have a great day. Thank you for watching. Thanks for joining us here. We will see you tomorrow. As always, if you like the show, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We're here all the way through the NBA Finals, breaking down the NBA. I'm the big man on campus, Ian Cameron. You can find him on Twitter at Bobano. He's doing all sorts of stuff with the sports betting world. He does all sorts of shows, basketball, baseball.
Love Sports Radio, Ice Guys Hockey. There you go. Find it all there.
He does a hockey thing as well. A lot of hockey is real interesting, man. Playoff hockey is always good. So make sure you're checking out Ian Cameron and the guys on what they're doing with ice hockey up in Canada. He is the king of the ice. Ian, great stuff as always. Thank you for joining me here on the show. We'll talk to you next week when we get into the playoffs. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
See ya.